All right, here we are. Let me get Jacob up here. Getting
What's
our
happening, everybody? I'm sorry, John.
podcast started tonight, and Jacob is mobile, so it's going to be a little bit different of a show tonight. We got some good information to share with you. I got a bunch of web pages posted up here to show that you send. I've got those up, and I had some others that I put up, and so yeah, we're going to talk about Howard Zinn today. For those of you who don't know who he is, you will by the end of this broadcast. He's a historian, and good or bad, we'll let you decide. Let us tell you what he's all about. I don't think Jonny's gonna make it. If he does, we'll pop him in. I know he works, and everybody works, and it's crazy trying to get us all together. But here we go. The show will go on. Thanks for joining us.
Heck yeah, guys. So I'm not my usual spot. I'm in a freaking Walmart here, so bear with me. I actually had a freaking copy of the book. I was going to go through it, but it was I don't have a stable connection for whatever reason, guys. I got 4 bars on my phone. It won't load a web page. I don't know. I was part of some drama. I was on a Streamlabs drama just recently, and I think that has to do with my phone's IP address. I have no idea. But anyway, Howard Zinn's the topic tonight, guys, not me. And I want to talk about this book that's really been a sacred cow for the U.S. education system, primarily K through 12. And it's called The People's History of the United States. Now, look at that title. Just really stop and think about the title for a second, guys. A People's History of the United States. Okay. What does that suggest? That suggests people. In other words, what I'm getting at is, if you guys understand Marxism and Hegel, and you guys understand, well, Hegel is the first person, and Marx, and then I think Engels was the co-author of the Communist Manifesto. The book is really, you could say a low-key communist manifesto disguised as an American history book. All throughout the book, it talks about revolution after revolution after revolution after revolution, from beginning all the way to the end. Nothing but from Vietnam, all the way from the farmers' uprisings, all the way throughout the book in the Civil War. They talk about constantly the oppression of slaves, indentured servants, women. The focus is on the downtrodden, and it really leaves it up to the people to, hey, guess what? You live in a country that isn't a good country. I'm here to tell you the history, and this is how we fix it. Let's overthrow the government because it's a bad country. But he doesn't overtly say that.
He hides it. It's hidden messages. I have not read the book. I want to get it and check it out. And I planned on doing that. Man, I don't know where time goes. But anyway, I haven't got it done. What happens if you turn your phone sideways?
Let me see. We'll find out here.
Nope.
Let me turn it this way. Let me see this way. Hold on. Let me see if I got let me see if I can screw with my phone. Oh, actually, let me do the flip. Oh, no, we don't want the dog food aisle. We want the.
That's all right. That works.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I'll hold it out a little bit further like this so I can fill up more of the screen. But anyway, so okay, let me give everyone some context here for this discussion we're going to have. Okay. Why are we going to talk about this guy? Why are we talking about this bloke? His name is Howard Zinn. Okay. Why are we talking about him? His book has been taught ever since the Clinton administration, I believe. It's been part of the K through 12 system, and it is literally like a sacred cow for U.S. history, and it's taught through all the children. Now, what's the point of that? As any great Marxist will tell you, if we get the schools, we need nothing else. Okay? There are some very dissident actors in the U.S. Department of Education. A lot of the education is decided upon on the state and local levels, but if you have federal programs that require federal funding, this book is in the curriculum. And if you're in Common Core, you better believe this book's in there. So here's a case in point right here. I found this article. I was just doing some Google searches before we started. Look at hundreds of Arkansas teachers, okay, request Howard Zinn's Peoples of History book be banned, basically. Okay, if you actually go through and read this article, these teachers are basically, they're trying to give their kids they're trying to give all their kids a good moral foundations of love your country, love your neighbor, love your fellow countrymen, contribute. But when you go through the books, it's hard to sell that message when they realize the ugliness of what atrocious acts America's committed. Now, let me explain something to you guys. No country's perfect, but ask yourself a simple question. Compared to what? Compared to what? Yes, we've been a flawed country. We've had our moments of, let's just say our moments of that really humble us as a people. But you have to ask yourself a simple question. Compared to what? Compare us to a different country. We're oppressive. We're mean. We hold these the before aforementioned people down. But you have to ask yourself, compared to whom? Compared to whom? Compared to all the different European powers? Compared to Russian turned Soviet countrymen? Compared to the Japanese? Compared to whom? Compared to Islamic countries? Compared to whom? You start on that theme, compared to whom, or compared to what other country, and it really, really sniffs out a lot of his arguments, because it's this really a book of descent of America and how we were founded as a country. Now listen, Howard Zinn, just so you guys understand who he is as a person, you guys can all verify this, by the way. You guys can look this up and document this. There's a lady, she's made a profession out of this. Her name's Mary Graber, Marygraber. Mary Graber, she's made a profession out of just debunking all his. She has a forum where she goes out and she gets with other historians. And yeah, pretty much historians on the left and right say he misconstrues facts. He uses straw man arguments, and his interpretation of history is flawed, but it's through a Marxist lens. Now, why is that important? Hearts and minds. Once you can change the child's hearts and minds, these people eventually become adults. Guess what? These adults become taxpayers and voters, and they become very susceptible to the downtrodden and all these tired old Marxist arguments. Okay? And there's their book right there. And I'm not an affiliate, and I'm not trying to sell her, but this lady, she has done God's work exposing this guy. Mary Graber is her name, and you guys can sift through this article. I'm sure John will leave it in the links, some links in the below the description of the video. But what everyone needs to understand is, how do you build a foundation for something, guys? First of all, you set up your forms and you pour your cement. That cement's wet at first, but you mold it and then it's dry. Well, guess what? That's what this man's doing. He's given people a distasteful version of this country. So when that wet cement is dry, it becomes damn near impossible to overcome that way of thinking and the way of looking at the country. That's why we have such a polarizing country right now at the moment, is because we have a man who's infiltrated all our K through 12 system, and he's pushed his Marxist agenda on our children and our fellow countrymen's children. And next thing you know, you have all these millennials and Gen Zers who want socialism. Are you surprised? I'm not. I have a lot of my fellow countrymen, a lot of my fellow friends and neighbors. They're surprised. I'm not. Why? Because I know who Howard Zinn is. I know what he's all about. So when I take a glance back to think about this, when I really evaluate what this man's brought forth to the history and what people understand of the history, is they look at Native Americans as these poor oppressed people. They look at indentured servants as basically people that were slaves. Obviously there's the atrocious act of slavery. He focuses quite a bit on that. He focuses on the oppression of women. But look, guys, let me explain to you a couple themes here, okay? Number one is freedom, okay? Other than slaves, everybody that came to the New World, they were all free. Every single one of them. The indentured servants, 3/4 of them ended up owning their own land and had their own farm, okay? They sought freedom. Native Americans, total lie. We oppressed them and killed them and this and that. No, smallpox and diseases and biological, sort of like how we're dealing with the coronavirus. They weren't exposed to all of these European diseases. Okay, they didn't have immunity to those diseases, and 90% wiped them out. And whatever arguments you may say about women not having involvement, there was an argument made many years ago. You guys can Google it. It's called Separate Spheres. That households, women took pride in raising children and tending to the house, while the man took pride in the farm maintenance, protection, and such. And it was a better economy of scale, if you will, until the information age and fossil fuels and such came about, where it freed up that labor for women, and then they were able to enter the workforce. He has a very disjointed version of history that he crafts a certain narrative and he puts certain facts together that are completely unrelated to give you this version of the world of, the Marxists, or not the Marxists. He gives this fabricated version of history of, Americans are all about these evil capitalists and these evil elitists and these evil. But the reality is, guys, we entered into all these transactions voluntarily. Okay, it's in the Bible. And it's in probably every part of your life. Inequality is everywhere you go. People are not equal. We're not equal in our abilities. We're not equal in our intelligence. We're not equal in our opportunities. We're not equal. What you do is you make the most of what you got, okay? And a guy like Howard Zinn, he is a mastermind of really stoking that resentment people have of inequality and the unfairness of the world. But guys, that is a biological reality, okay? And furthermore, John, I've been rambling quite a bit. You have anything you'd like to add? Because I'm kind of at a stopping point for just a second here.
All right. I'm just going to go. I'm going to this highlighted in blue section. I want to read it because this gives you an idea. Now, your kids may have come home from school and said some of this kind of stuff. I've heard it here from the schools in Southern Nevada. And so we all went to school and learned American history, right? In the chapter 4 of this book that Zinn describes the American founding this way. This is how he describes it, and this is the agenda he's pushing. Around 1776, certain important people in the English colonies made a discovery that would prove enormously useful for the next 200 years. They found that by creating a nation, a symbol, a legal unity called the United States, they could take over land, profits, and political power from favorites for the British Empire. In the process, they could hold back a number of potential rebellions and create a consensus of popular support for the rule of a new privileged leadership. Zinn paints almost every event in American history in terms of class conflict. So
what is that? Hey, I hate to interject here. Well, actually, I love to do it, but I feel that's a little rude of me to do this. But check this out. What is class conflict, guys? What are the buzzwords for? Class conflict, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Where does that come from? The Communist Manifesto. Anyway, go ahead. Continue, John. I didn't interject there.
That's as far as I was going to go with it. I just wanted to point that out because that's a totally different picture of how I was taught that the United, that we were founded. So I wanted to point that out of his book. That's out of his book. This is in the debunking book from the Graeber lady. But so anyway, I'm not here to sell books and stuff, but that might be a good one. I think I'm going to pick it up. This one here, this.
No, but the reason we mention the book as a reference, think of it like
right.
Think of it like a Chilton's. I think that's what it's called, the Chilton's guide. Like when you're going to reference, like how to fix your car or something. Mm-hmm. Think of it as a reference guide. We shouldn't think of her work as somehow like we're grifting and trying to make her money. It's more of this is a reference book because I believe she has over 300 footnotes in that book. Like, I mean, it is a well-researched, well-articulated book. This isn't just I'm trying to sell another copy of The Purpose-Driven Life or something. I mean, this is a well-researched book. This lady has made a life's work out of debunking this dude because she's a historian herself, and she's gotten along with other historians, and they've all agreed, like, this guy, how his book is propped up like it is a complete mystery to these historians. Because They're busy doing research. They're busy doing stuff historians do. They're not busy trying to sell books to the general education department. And what people need to understand is once these books make it into that curriculum, it is damn near impossible to get it out unless you have different people get elected into those positions to upend that. But see, a lot of these government bureaucrats, they don't give a damn what's being taught to their kids. Their kids are in private school. They don't give a damn what your kids in public school are learning, because any politician that makes it up that high, their kids are in private school. You better believe that. And they're being taught their own whatever the private school values are. They're being taught that version of history, not this, oh, America's this evil, greedy, capitalistic land where these Europeans took land from other people. That is a complete misrepresentation of what actually happened. It's more like people came here to build something that wasn't here. There was other people that were already over here. They were getting along, but then disease came about, and as biological human beings, we fight for land and we fight for things, and that's how it ends. I mean, that's the very same argument that could be made for them can be made for anywhere in the world people moved about. And if people want to talk about slavery and such, the Arab slave trade was 2 to 3 times as big as the Middle Passage in the United States and in the Caribbean. You could even say South America. So any argument you'd have in favor of Zen can be debunked with his book, or just a cursory understanding of communism. For those of you who are religious, reading the Bible, or for those of you who understand biology, human biology, you'd understand that Marxism and the Communist Manifesto is a wish at best. And Zen is putting the Communist Manifesto and Marxism into an American interpretation of history. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yes, sir. I'm not really up on him, so I don't have a lot to add, but all I can say is it.
Well, tell you what, John, let's go to some comments if anybody's had any, because I expect to have a lot of pushback. Like, this was the one night I was really expecting a serious amount of pushback. Because, here's the thing: like, a book like that's a sacred cow. People aren't going to question it. They're just not. They're just going to, oh, how dare you criticize this book? And then I'll say, well, okay, pull up your favorite chapter. I'll tell you right now what his aim is. And
right.
I expected a lot of pushback, or not pushback, but just respectful rebuttals. I expected that tonight. And if we have any comments, because people are going to look at that and say, oh, it's a fact-based book. Yeah, but guys, you can have facts, but you can interpret those facts in a completely different way. You like the temperature outside. It's raining and it's cold, but you could interpret that fact entirely different than how I interpret it.
Right. And this is his interpretation.
Exactly.
And it's all totally different than the way I was taught. I was just looking over some of the different, like World War II and World War I and stuff. And here's the part that got me interested in even looking this feller up. Was I heard a comment that he had made years and years ago, and I don't have that exact year for you, but the comment went something like this, and he said,
I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm sorry.
He said, if you want to if you want to get people to hate the country, hate America, you gotta go from the schools. You gotta start in the schools, and you've gotta get a whole generation to hate the country, and then the country will fall. And that's pretty much what his life work was about, as far as I'm concerned, was changing everything up to get this generation to hate the country. Oh man, we did a lot of bad stuff and we stole the country. We did this, whatever the case might be, and got these kids growing up learning that and coming out of school, grade schools, high schools, colleges, whatever, with the thought that, oh my gosh, we're bad people, man. We did a lot of bad stuff, And that's not the case, but that's the agenda they're pushing, because they're attacking this generation to get the generation to hate the country. If they hate the country, they're not going to fight for the country. And they have you. They have you. I'll be gone. I'll be gone. I'll be in my resting place, my permanent resting place, by the time I think this stuff out. But it's going to happen if that generation doesn't, stand up.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, John. You have to be willing to fight for what you want to keep, and if you value your freedom, if you value capitalism, and capitalism, guys, it's what it is. It's a market system that allows you to make free choices. Okay, people tell me, oh, it's bad because of all the inequality. Well, that's sort of a side effect. There's no perfect system in the world, but that's the best thing we got going. It's a legitimate criticism, and I'm going on kind of a tangent here, is of crony capitalism, where government, there's corruption that happens, where certain companies can get paid off and certain companies get special privileges. Like, I believe Jeff Bezos just paid more for his house than he did in taxes this year. And I would highly suspect there's some crony capitalism going on there. But again, anyway, we're not talking about Bezos, but I'm talking about capitalism. And what Zinn talks about all throughout the book is, he doesn't overtly mention the evils of capitalism, but if I was in my desk or my car, I could flip through the page by page, but I could show you guys over and over. He criticizes capitalism constantly about the elite and the evil, greedy people and these Europeans. And what he doesn't realize is, did you guys know? I didn't even know this until I flipped through some sources. And I'll have to share this source in a comment below when you post this video. Is the average slave was better nourished. Check this out. They were better nourished in the South than the average poor European was. Like in I think like Northern Britain and Ireland, because when Ireland had that potato famine, when I read that, I just dropped my jaw. I was like, wow, I didn't even look that way. But see, Zinn, he's not even going to tell you the honest truth, like about both sides. He's only going to present the history in such a way to get people to hate the country. Oh, look at the bad stuff we've done. We're so evil. And then young people, they grow up and they have a sentiment of, I don't really like my country. Who cares? Let's invite anybody in and take it over. Who cares? Let's see what happens here. And they're willing to give away what other people committed their life and bloodshed and sweat for. And that's insane, but that's all it takes. Why? You can have all the guns, all the resources, everything, but if you're willing to just hand over what you have, I mean, what's the point of any of this stuff? What's the point of having a big house or a pretty wife or a fancy car or anything, or retirement? What's the point of all this if you're just willing to hand over everything your forefathers have fought for with their blood, sweat, and tears, just to give it to some?
Right, and that is real. The guy pushes a socialist agenda. Sorry, you cut out, so I kind of started talking, but I didn't mean to cut
No, go
you
ahead.
off.
Go ahead, man. I've been rambling on and on and on.
Just wanted to point out that he pushes a socialist agenda. He, like you said, he was man, I got a lot of background noise. But anyway, so he pushes a socialist agenda.
Oh, there's no question about it. There's no question about it. But anyways,
I'll put all these resources, like Jacob said, I'll link them all in the body of the post. Facebook doesn't let me do that once I create it, because I created it in a different program. So they'll be in the comment section on Facebook. On YouTube, it'll be in the body of the post where it should be. But just FYI for those of you that watch or are watching or will watch. Generally, we get a lot more views, after the fact throughout the week. So
yeah, exactly, man. Well, yeah, just so
get him down.
Once again, guys, the whole point of freedom, guys, is to ensure that you preserve it. Okay, and it's every generation's job to preserve freedom, because if you just live in an atomized culture where, look, it's all about me, like libertarians, I actually criticize for this, and I like libertarians, but I criticize them. They think they live in this atomized world where everything's all about them. I can do all the drugs I want. I can do play video games and porn. It's all about freedom, and I can indulge in degeneracy. And they don't realize that if you don't replicate, if you can't expand on your activities and you can't preserve that freedom, like from an outside force wanting to take it from you, you're just engaging in narcissism. That's really what it comes down to. Okay. And where I'm going with this is, if you are so arrogant to believe you can just sit in your house, go to work, not have to study this stuff, not have to look it up, and think you can preserve this country, freedom for your kids, freedom for your grandkids. You think you can preserve all this just by going to work, not saying a damn thing, not getting involved, and one day you have a Marxist, socialist style, Bolshevik style overthrow. Maybe it'll be 30 years from now, maybe it'll be 10 years from now. Who knows when it's going to happen? But if you are so arrogant to believe that it'll never happen in my lifetime, what do you think all the Russians thought about during the Bolshevik Revolution? What do you think all this, any kind of revolution? What do you think the Venezuelans thought 10 years ago? If they're going to have a civilizational collapse, what do you think these people? You think these people are so stupid to believe they knew it was going to happen all along? But the sentiment I get from a lot of Americans is, it can't happen here. It can't happen. Oh, believe me, it can happen here, guys. We're closing on $23 trillion in debt. You have that level of a collapse, oh, anything can happen. And if we don't get to the hearts and minds and make the case, guys, and get out there and tell people about Howard Zinn and tell people about the slow creep of socialism, which is a front for communism, really. Mm-hmm. What's the point? I mean, just guys, think about it. What's the point of your retirement account, your house, your vacation? What's the point of any of this stuff if you're not going to speak up? What's the point of any of this stuff if you're not going to get involved? Now, you don't need to necessarily go to your workplace and raise a bunch of hell, but just, hey, have a tough conversation with people once in a while. Put yourself out there a little bit and say, hey, look, this is wrong. Women shouldn't be competing with men in the same sports. And, just little things. Climate change, maybe it's just how our world's going. There's no causal link from, what we're doing to, I don't know. Well, that's a whole different argument there. I mean, who knows? Maybe mankind is creating a climate change, but that doesn't mean government's going to solve the freaking problem. That should be private individuals who want to solve that problem for their own use and their own interests. But all I'm getting at, guys, with all this is we have to all. So it's one of those things. It's a necessary time. If the Vandals and all the barbarians start trying to breach the gates, that's the time when you fight back. You don't fight back once they're inside the gates, okay? And let me tell you guys something. Other people want our freedom. Other people want our resources. Other people want what's been passed down to us. And if you think for 1 second that there's no way that could happen, there's no way that could happen, Johnny, Jake, John, there's no way that could happen. You are a fool. You're fooling no one in this podcast, okay? You have to understand that, oh, man, I mean, the evidence is piling every single day. I see in the news. I see it in the freaking news. I see it everywhere I go here. And hell, right now I'm streaming from Midland, Texas at a Wi-Fi connection. I see it every single day. Every single day I see it. And it's like I'm seeing complete evidence. And for those of you tin hat people that think I'm putting on a tin hat, just observe the evidence, people. Critically evaluate the evidence. Don't use it through your own little safe space, comfort of the world, interpretation of all the things the mainstream media told you. Really evaluate what's going on in this country. Lots of debt, hatred of white people, hatred of capitalism, hatred of freedom, hatred of all this stuff. You guys really need to avoid. This stuff is now mainstream, okay? This isn't like it's in somebody's basement or somebody's secret meeting. This is now mainstream talk, okay? This is being taught in the schools. It's being taught in colleges. It's being legitimized in all the media, okay? Academia is pushing hard through this stuff of problemizing white people. I mean, you guys need to freaking wake up, man. I'm getting tired of this, man. And then, I don't know, I'm just rambling on and on and on now. But guys, this all pins to Zinn's teachings. Zinn, and I would say hundreds of others just like Howard Zinn, are really the underpinnings of all the problems we have today. And to think that you don't have to fight and preserve this and say anything, I mean, just, oh, I don't even know what to say to people like that. Just, I guess, have your drugs, have your porn, have your Xbox, whatever, and watch Rome burn as it may while you're sipping your latte.
I was just looking for a video I was going to pop up, but I can't find it. So if you, like Jacob said, if you sit back and look at what's going on today, you can plainly see, there's no tinfoil hats. If you sit back and look, you can all see what we can see, whether you choose to believe it or not. But just look at what the state, each different state's trying to go after your guns. Virginia, and I saw that got tabled, which is great. I'm not going to switch over to talking about that, but they're coming after us, and they attack the two things that keep them from getting us, and it's our free speech and our right to bear arms. There's a reason they want that stuff. There's a reason, and it's this agenda that's being pushed on us. And so we have to keep fighting for those things. And I said it's not going to happen in my lifetime, and I probably shouldn't have said that, because like Jacob said, it could happen at any given time. We're watching it unfold right now. So these things are going on. They're taking place. The evidence is there. I watched a video. I wanted to pull it up and show off just a few seconds of it, but I watched a video, and it was this gal that runs around and talks to young college kids and stuff. And she was in Ohio at Ohio University. It's called Kate's Unsafe Space or something like that. Caitlin, I can't think of her name, but she was at Ohio University, and oh my gosh, they were attacking her so bad. The far left has gone way too far left. They are violent. They're trying to force that belief on people and beating you down for it. It's just crazy. The lengths that they're going to convince us to think like them, trying to force it on us. So it's
by any means necessary. It's one of those things. It's like the hashtag resist crowd on Twitter. They got one goal, okay? And all the far left, the squad, all these people that are so popular today with all the young people who basically are products of Zen's teachings and Zen's work, is they believe in this concept called by any means necessary.
One of the things that they kept saying,
if they can't convince you to go along their way, they will use force. And let me tell you guys something. Karl Marx, that dude had a taste for violence. If you part of having an overthrow is through force, okay? And if you guys think for 1 second that you can just explain to these people, oh yeah, everything's gonna be okay, and there's gonna be no problems, and we can just talk this out. If we disagree, oh, we'll be fine. Ha! The reason why they haven't done nothing yet is because they're outnumbered. You wait till
they're not outnumbered anymore, till they get their
losing my connection. I'm gonna stay put right here. But guys, I'm talking about this in a public freaking place, a public forum, okay? Look, I don't give a damn what people think, because I do this every day. I don't do it at work, but it's like people need to wake the hell up, man. We're under attack here. We have barbarians at the gate ready to breach it, and it's like people want to sit there and tell me how comfortable their new lazy boy is and their new car purchase, and it's like, dude, do you realize what the hell is going on? And you listen to them, and they're in this fantasy land of, oh my God, oh Jake, you're just a heretic, and you're just crazy. And it's like, bro, it's like, wake up, man. For any of you guys who are in that mind that me, John, and Johnny are in, this world, it's like, you realize what the hell is going on. And tell you what, man, we are lone blades of grass, and we all know what happens to a lone blade of grass in a grassy field. It gets cut down.
One of the things that they kept on saying was, "You're so white, you're so white." What does that mean? What does that mean? You're so white.
Yeah, they're normalizing hatred. It's really easy. It's guys, they did this. I think they're called the Gulag farmers in Russia. The Gulag. You guys can Google this. I could be wrong on the name, but the Gulag farmers. These were they normalize hatred of a certain group and envy and resentment. That's what happens, guys. And this happens every single time. Every revolution like this, it happens every single time. They normalize hatred of a certain group, they marginalize them, and when they outnumber them, that's when the violence starts. The violence doesn't start when it's one of you and 10 of them. The violence starts when there's 3 of you and 2 of them. That's when the violence starts. And how do they gain that? How do they gain followers and gain? I'll tell you how. Oppression narratives and coalition building. That's how they do it. They build coalitions of, oh, these evil people, they have more than you, and look at this. And we see it on the left today. Groups who have nothing in common, but they have a shared goal of their own interests. They have competing interests. I mean, how you get radical Muslims to team up with feminists, that is insane. And the transgenders, you get these 3 groups that have nothing in common, all for one goal in mind. Yeah, guys, that's pure communism. End of story. End of freaking stories. Okay? And it's gonna, why do you think they want to take away our guns, guys? It's real simple. I mean, if you guys just lead with the evidence, okay? It's all obvious. It all comes very, very clear. Very, very clear. Another, this is a hashtag show alert for everybody, okay? So if you guys get a chance to look at a book, I'm not even joking around. I read this book and it really has a great, it illuminated a lot of confusion I had about what's going on in society. It's called The Madness of Crime.
We're struggling with this connection tonight. That's from not being in Wi-Fi, I think. Let's take a break for just a minute and watch this for just 1 second while he finds his spot. Hang on.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I guess I'm for some reason I'm having some problems with my connection here. But anyway, there's a book called The Madness of Crowds, and it's by Douglas Murray. It will give everyone an excellent understanding of exactly what's going on. I talk about this coalition building and why people are getting these crazy ideas and they're acting on these impulsive, not very well thought out ideas. What it is, it's a manifestation of all this stuff I'm talking about. Now, again, the video is about Howard Zinn. While we're talking about him, what we're seeing today, these political divide and all these convoluted, crazy ideas and all these people, what we're seeing today is we're seeing his work paying off. And guys, there's a lot of kids today being taught that, and it's sort of like a snowball turning into an avalanche. It's not going to stop. How do you stop it? You just lay down? You just give up your freedoms? It's like, you start, guys, by using your
First Amendment. And after
that is one certainty I have. I have a certainty of everyone. We don't start using our speech, it will lead to violence.
Kind of already is on the left. Let me play this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and play this. Yeah, go for it, man.
Just for a second. Just watch this. This is what we're talking about.
These cops are watching this happen. There's another one.
Yeah, you need to get out of here. Person of America, if she had to tell me.
You came to us in Ohio and didn't expect this reaction? I thought you guys were tolerant.
You wouldn't know a president if they hit you in the face. That's somebody's car.
was cringy. My goodness, that was hard to watch.
Yeah, that's what we're up against. And so everything that we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. And it's all been created by this people's, what is it called? The People's History
The
book?
People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn.
Right.
That, I would say, Zinn's a part of a big community of people that are a part of this. I wouldn't accuse him solely of it, but he's definitely a contributing factor, because a lot of other people.
It's the far left. The far left is reaching really hard.
Make counterfeits. You make counterfeits, that real dollar bill. When other people cite his work, like he has a counterfeit version of it, but when other historians and academians cite his work, it legitimizes it. And that's how it sort of ascends into this prominence of, oh, this guy's such a great historian, when like other real historians that aren't even in academia, they're just historians as a profession. They're like, they collect primary sources and such, and they're like, where does this guy get this crackpot version of American history? It's just, anyway, where I'm going with this is people need to wake the heck up, because this isn't going to go away on its own. It's just not. And when you're able to have these kind of discussions with your neighbors, with your family, with people you know that are close to you, and say, look, these, and I'm telling you guys, just do it. Here's an experiment. Tell you what, instead of me rambling, I'm going to give you guys an actual experiment. Go on Facebook or go somewhere where you have a lot of followers or friends, you have a big audience. Post something that is not politically correct. Say something that you pick anything of your choice that's unpopular, that's factually correct but unpopular. See how much criticism you get compared to how much love you get. You will get 10 times the hate for every one like you have. And one of the harsh realities is, hey, sometimes.
All right, we've lost connection.
And you know, we're at a crossroad where, hey, sometimes it's going to take a little bit of conflict to get this to a head, because I tell you, this is going to end ugly, man. It's just going to, but how we can prevent it or limit it is talk about it, debate it, get ideas, let the best ideas win out. And those people who I believe are of good mind and good hearts, they will see what's right and wrong. They will see it through. But the more we let these kids get brainwashed more and more, and they grow up into adults, that's where the coalition gets bigger and bigger. And once they outnumber the rest of Americans, that's when violence begins.
Right. And this was at Ohio University where this video that I showed took place. And that's
you dare criticize Zinn. I mean, I don't even know where to go. I could read the whole book and cite you know what I ought to do? Tell you what, I'll make a promise to all the YouTube followers. I'm gonna leave an outline of his book so he can summarize his whole book a little easier. Just make like a 30-line outline of his book, and you guys can get the basic gist of what the book's about. It's gonna take me maybe like a week or two below this video, to where you guys can not have to read the whole book, but you can get a basic version of, like a Cliff Notes version of what this book's about. And I'm going to point out several of the Marxist lies he points out that you can't see it with the naked eye. You have to really understand what Marxism and communism is all about the class struggle, and it's about having a revolution. And God, by the way, guys, revolutions are never peaceful, okay? Never peaceful. I'm going to point out all these things so I don't sit here and ramble on, because people are going to have some kind of framework to rely on to criticize this book, like to tell their friends about this book's a POS, and to tell everyone, like, this book's basically propaganda in our school system. They're going to need to actually read the book, but to digest it a little easier, because it's like the paperback version is like 400 or 500 pages. They can just go through a quick Cliff Notes, and I can get that for them. And I'll probably get it from like some source like Book Rags or like a actual Cliff Notes. And of course, I'll interject my Marxist stuff I found in the book. That's what I'll probably do.
Right on.
So I'll make that promise to all our listeners, followers, readers. I should say readers, but our viewers and listeners and such. But You have any other thoughts, John? Because I'm gonna cut it short. We're about
No.
46 minutes in.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I'm just
plenty.
catching myself rambling over and over and saying the same thing, and it's not really contributing much to what the talk is about with Howard Zinn.
No, but when you do your synopsis, are we going to attach it to this video, or what we going to do? How are we going to?
So
Share
what
it.
I'll do is I'll leave a comment below your video, and then you just pin
Okay.
it. Like, you have the option to pin the comment, and what the comment's going to be quite lengthy because it's going to be the outline of the basic book. And I might even leave several, but you can pin the one that's like the outline of the book. That's what I'll
Okay.
probably do. I want to ask our viewers, listeners, to just give it about a week or two and come back to this video. And what we'll do is on our next video, we'll just tell everyone, we'll give everyone an update. Maybe you could leave it in like your YouTube community, or you could update everyone on Facebook, like, hey, come check out these. If you want to see the Cliff Notes version of this, Jake's got it ready for you or whatnot. So
Yep.
now I'll leave a couple quotes and a couple parts of the book where you guys can actually cite and go back to and say, see, here's proof. Here's proof of what he's saying. And furthermore, if you want to get a real in-depth analysis of his work, or I'm sorry, Zinn's work, get Mary Graver's book, guys. And I'm not grifting here. I'm not making any money off her, but she really does a fantastic job of exposing this guy from every single angle. If you're more interested beyond what we just talked about tonight.
Yeah, I myself am going to grab that just so I'll have some talking points, but important stuff for sure, because as you've seen, you know, with what's going on with the far left and whatnot, it's just been a gradual decline, if you will, and that's what we're up against. That's what we're up against. They're not peaceful in their trying to get us to think like them. They're very violent, very forceful, very violent. And Jacob said it earlier, they will use any means necessary to make us get their point, see their point. We'll let him get back connected up, and
I'm gonna peace out. I'll let you lead the show out, John, but I hope everyone takes this video.
I think we lost him.
Something, but we need to preserve and protect what we value most, guys. And I'll leave on that note. I hope everyone has a great week, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. Yep, thanks, Jacob, for joining us. Jonny didn't make it. I know he's working. We're kind of struggling with trying to find a time when everybody can get together. Kind of hard when you got a group. But thanks for joining us tonight. I don't know who's on here, but thank you for joining us and listening to what Jacob had to say. Mainly, this is an area that I know that it's there, and I know basically what his mission was, but I don't know a whole lot about it. And I tried to do a little research this week, and I did find some stuff. And I'll like I said, I'll go back in as soon as we close out this video and add all the links so that you can look at where we're getting the information. But it just kind of gives you, the gist of it is just to give you a different insight as to why things are going like they are. It's not something that all of a sudden happened. This indoctrination and whatnot's been going on for a lot of years, and it's been going on behind, all of the parents' backs in the schools, in the school system. So there's a reason why those kids are acting like they are, and they think that the American people are bad and we did bad things and whatnot, because that's what they're being told. And this Mr. Zinn, he's not the only actor in all this mess. He's just one of the many actors, and he is the one historian that wrote the textbooks that have been used in the school systems and whatnot. So kind of wanted to expose that and give everybody, like I said, a little insight into why these far leftist kids, they say the millennials, but it's not really. It's just this far left. They're radical. They're violent. They're not friendly by any means necessary. they try to get you to believe the way they believe. It's crazy. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this show up tonight. Again, thanks for joining us. Appreciate having you here. These shows can be viewed at any time off of YouTube, Facebook, or myhelmettalk.com. I post everything on my website. I post video. I post audio only versions. And all of the audio versions will get played on my radio station, MHT Radio, Mondays around noon Pacific time. So 1 o'clock Mountain, and you figure out the rest wherever you're at in this great world. But on Pacific, it'll be right around noon. I schedule them for about noon, and they play when they fit in with the music that's playing. So those can be found there, or like I said, go to my podcast page on myhelmettalk.com, and all the audio and all the video are both there. So thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week. It's a hump day. Happy hump day. And it's over with. So we're on the decline now. We're on the downhill part. You guys have a good day, everybody. Peace.